It's Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. We have a lot to talk about today. I want to talk about a few different things. One of them is the rate hike we got today. Jerome Powell did raise the Fed funds rate 50 basis points. Shocking how hawkish he was today at the meeting and during the press interview. Very, very hawkish. I'm going to go over some of the things he said, some of his statements. Also, I want to talk about the importance of the number one asset next to God, which is security, why it is so important, why it's being overlooked, and why you shouldn't be overlooking it, why you need to be using situational awareness, why you need to be training, why you need to be preparing, because we know throughout history what happens when an economy collapses. And we are going through a collapse right now, and we are seeing record levels of crime taking place, and people are being hurt, they're being victimized, and you do not want to be a part of this. So we all need to be preparing the best that we can. But let's start out with the markets today. Dow Jones was down 142 points, NASDAQ down 85. Now, earlier in the day, the Dow was up around 300 points. Then Jerome Powell came out, spoke. It was down 400 points and somewhat recovered, being down only 142 points. But he was extremely hawkish. With some of the things he said today, I was shocked that the Dow Jones wasn't down 700 or 800 points in all reality. Markets should have absolutely gotten crushed today with some of these hawkish statements. Jerome Powell said that the labor market is out of balance. And these are quotes. I wrote these down today, watching most of the press conference. Effects of tightening wave yet to be felt. He also said U.S. economy has slowed significantly from last year. Says the labor market is still extremely tight. So that means expect that they're going to make sure in 2023 that a lot of people lose their jobs because they're going to continue to raise rates here. Further rate hikes needed, he said. Fed's fund rate projection for next year is 5.1%. I think we're at about 4.25% right now. He says no one knows where the economy will be a year from now. Well, maybe nobody knows, but I think we all have a pretty good idea that it's probably more than likely going to be much worse than it was this year. We will use our tools to bring inflation back to 2%. They're going to have to raise rates a lot more if they intend to get the Fed funds rate back if they intend to get inflation back down to 2%. They're going to have to raise the Fed's fund rate a lot higher than 5.1%, in my opinion, to get inflation back to 2%. I don't see how they're going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any ideas, please comment down below. We will stay the course until the job is done. Very hawkish. We have more work to do, he says. Ongoing hikes will be appropriate. So all those people out there for the entire year of 2022 who said that they're never going to raise rates, well, guess what? Now they're going to raise rates throughout 2023. Inflation risk is on the upside. We could raise rates higher than anticipated. Powell emphasized the words higher and longer today quite a bit. Higher and longer. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to break this economy apart. We're going to see, I think, a huge amount of people lose their jobs. Citibank came out the other day and predicted 2 million layoffs in 2023. Well, this pretty much supports that. We have a long way to go on rate hikes, Jerome Powell said. No one knows if we're going to have a recession or not. That was pretty confusing. How Jerome Powell could say that, I have no idea. But whatever the case may be, these are some of his quotes today, and they're not good. They're extremely hawkish. I think that people should be very worried that the Fed is not their friend. The Fed is not going to pivot anytime soon. The Fed is on a mission now. They are going to wreck this economy. They're going to wreck the housing market, and it's going to get very, very ugly. This is bad news for the economy. It's bad news for housing. And again, 50 basis points today. That means if you're servicing debt, the credit cards, you're going to get a mortgage, you're going to go buy a car, and you need to get a loan, it's going to cost more. So it's going to be very interesting to see how 2023 plays out. But they're already warning you and I that this thing is going to get very, very bad. Here's one from Fox Business. In FTX hearing, the OC actor Shankman rips cryptocurrency as largest Ponzi scheme in history. Ben McKenzie Shankin, who is an outspoken critic of cryptocurrency, told the Senate today it's a massive Ponzi scheme and a fraud during a hearing on the collapse of FTX. Shankin has starred in the OC, Southland, and Gotham. I've never seen any of this. He holds an undergraduate economics degree, and he criticizes celebrities who endorse crypto. So I got to give the guy some credit for that. I have no idea who he is, but being in that industry and being outspoken like that and sitting there today in front of the Senate and actually standing up and saying it's a Ponzi scheme and it's a fraud, I have to give the guy some credit, whoever he is, but he's 100% right. The Hedge today, visualizing the amount of U.S. taxpayer dollars flowing to Ukraine in 2022. Get this. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. This is where our money is going. So far, $59.8 billion went to the military over there. $26.9 billion went to their government, and $15 billion went to humanitarian efforts all over in Ukraine. That's a lot of money. And they say more money is going to continue to flow over there. So that tells me that inflation in the U.S. is not going anywhere anytime soon, because we're going to continue to print money, borrow money, and send it all over the world by the billions. Let me ask you this. $26.9 billion to their government. It's almost nearly $30 billion. What would $1 billion do in your city? What would $1 billion do in your town? What would $1 billion do for your school system? What would $1 billion do for small business? We're talking $26.9 billion just to the government, almost $60 billion to the military, and $15 billion for humanitarian efforts. This is a huge amount of money. And it's amazing that we have to ask and beg for donations to take care of our military here in the U.S. when, they lose a limb, a leg, an arm, their eyes. And I watch these commercials where they're literally begging you, asking you for donations to take care of these guys. And yet we're sending billions of dollars over to other countries. I don't get political. I don't like war. I hope that this gets resolved immediately. Too many people have died. But this isn't even political. This is about right and wrong. And this is about people right here in the U.S. that need help right now, and why they're not getting it, and we're sending it to other countries. I have no idea, but it's to me, very repulsive. Here's one from CNBC. Nearly half of American workers are hoping for a promotion or raise in 2023. Hope is a very bad strategy, and these people are delusional because they're more than likely going to be laid off. These people, everybody needs to prepare for a layoff. This is why you need 6 to 12 months of a cash reserve. This is why you need to get the debts paid down, get the house paid off, get the cars paid off, get rid of unwanted debt. If you have an extra car that you're paying on that you're not using, maybe it's time to sell it. And maybe it's just time to downsize the house or downsize the SUV or whatever, maybe to get the payment lower and maybe just pay it off or at least manageable. But we have so many people in the U.S. who are living so far over their heads, and these are the first ones to go. So, be very cautious about how much debt you're carrying right now. And if you're hoping for a promotion, if you're hoping for a raise, again, hope is a bad strategy. Take the time right now to be preparing for a layoff. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Switching gears now, let's talk about the reality of a collapsing economy. This was on The Hedge today. Mother of all economic crisis will lead to unrest and violence. Nouriel Roubini, a former advisor to the International Monetary Fund and member of President Clinton's Council of Economic Advisors, he is warning that The staggering amounts of debt held by individuals, businesses, and the government will soon lead to the mother of all economic crisis. The crisis will lead to unrest and violence. And this is why I say that we need to be talking about security and preparations, and we need to prepare for turmoil, because we're going to see it, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, I was just reading some news yesterday, and there was a homeless man in Chicago. They lit him on fire. He landed up living, I think, a couple months in the hospital. He just passed away a couple days ago. But, you know, just minding his own business, homeless, you know, when your problems just can't get any worse, and then somebody throws gasoline on you and lights you on fire, and eventually you die. These are the psychopaths that we will be dealing with. This is the evil that many of us may have to deal with at some point. And here's another one coming out of Chicago. Students accused of attacking boy with Down syndrome in Chicago. I mean, I don't even have words to explain something like that, but they actually had a video of it. If you Google the article, you'll see the video. But how cruel are people today attacking some kid at their school with Down syndrome? Again, this is the psychopath type of behavior we see today that has been normalized, that we're going to have to deal with. Think about this. These are the good times right now. We're going to look back and go 2021, 2022. These were the good old days. When people get hungry, this is when it gets very bad. And there are some very disturbed people out there. In fact, there's a lot of disturbed people out there. And you may have to deal with this at some point. And this is why I tell people you need to be preparing today, because what's coming tomorrow is going to be very, very evil. And if you're not prepared to deal with it, you're going to be in big trouble. Your family's going to be in big trouble. And so there's a few things that we can all do to prepare. And number one, it's getting better physical shape. You know, I watch videos out there on social media, and, you know, everybody's out there warning you, get ready for the collapse. The economy's going to collapse. The banks are going to shut down. Get your money out of the banks. Buy gold, buy silver. Okay, can't argue that. But what they're overlooking is when that happens, you're going to be dealing with other people, some very disturbed people, some very angry people, some very hungry people. And these people on social media never want to talk about that. And this is the reality. It's easy to talk about, yeah, have food, water, gold, and the banks are going to close, and, you know, you might not be able to go to your ATM, and, you know, okay, great. What are you going to do to deal with bad people? What are you going to do when people kick your door in? What are you going to do when somebody wants to hurt your family? Doesn't matter about your gold or silver, because they're just going to take it. Your food, your water, they're going to take it. It doesn't matter if you have a cell phone. Doesn't matter if you have a flashlight. Doesn't matter if you think you're going to call your lawyer up and sue them. This is going to be a whole nother world, and you're not ready for it. One thing we can all do right now today is begin to get in better physical shape. We need to get in a better mental mindset right now. One thing we could all do right now is learn how to fight. How are you going to deal with a fight if you've never been in a fight before? You know, these people making these videos warning everybody about this Armageddon that's coming, this apocalypse that's coming. You're going to have to deal with some very, very bad people. Do you know how to operate your weapon? Whether that's a knife, an asp, a firearm, are you proficient? Are you out training? Are you at the gym? Are you doing boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu? You know, this is the time people better wake up and get ready. And again, if you don't know how to use these weapons, how are you going to use them if somebody kicked in your door? If somebody was attacking a family member, you think you're going to figure it out that day? Situational awareness. I cannot emphasize how much I'm out and people are looking, glued to their phones, walking around at a mall, at a restaurant, at a park, at the gym, wherever they might be. They are just glued. They have absolutely no situational awareness. That's one of the first things you better change real quick, and that's your situational awareness. You better know your surroundings, know your environment, know who's around you, know who walked into the restaurant, know who's walking around the mall, know who's looking at you, know who's looking at your family, know who might have followed you home. You need to be aware of the people around you. If you're not preparing and training right now, how are you going to deal with people when the lights go out? How are you going to deal with people when they're hungry? Again, a flashlight and a cell phone is not going to save you. Nice to have, but nobody's coming to help you. Most people today are not prepared to deal with violence. So when they are approached by violence, when they are challenged by violence, what are they going to do? Well, you know what they're going to do. They're going to wet their pants, they're going to panic, and they are going to be victims. That's what's going to happen. You know, some of these people, again, that make these videos saying that, well, you know, you need this to save you, you need that to save you. Ask them, you know, and they'll say you need security. What's their security? Ask them what their security is. What kind of training have they gone through? Have they done some weekend courses? Are they out, you know, at the range training? Are they at the gym training? Are they at their jiu-jitsu class once, twice, 3 times a week training? What are they doing? Look, I get it. Not everybody can do this. If you're, you know, 80 years old or you're handicapped, maybe you're not doing Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu. I understand that. But there's other things you can do. You can't just sit back and go, I can't do anything because you know, I'm in a wheelchair, or my legs don't work, or you can't make excuses. You have to do something. You have to be proactive. Somehow you've got to get the odds in your favor. So get good with some type of weapon system. But if you're healthy, I think the best thing you can do is get in better physical shape. Make sure you're taking jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, boxing, or all of it. Make sure you're out working on your weapon system, whatever that might be. Get proficient and put the odds in your favor. Do everything you can. Don't be one-dimensional. Be multi-dimensional. You won't win a fight if you've never been in one. And that's why I believe, you know, in taking Muay Thai classes or jiu-jitsu or boxing or wrestling, because you're being challenged every day when you're in a class. You know, deal with somebody that weighs 240, 250 pounds, 270 pounds. You know, that becomes more real. And when you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with people that have a good skill set on top of it, they're going to make you better. But when you're dealing with big people or people with a skill set, people with good conditioning, they're going to push you. And so when you're out and about, you're going to have more confidence. You're going to be more prepared. Most people that you deal with don't really have any type of training with weapons. They don't have any MMA training. For the most part, these bad people, they look for the weak. They look for certain situations. They look for people that don't have situational awareness. They look for people who have one of these and they're glued like this. That's who they're looking for. When you're training, when you're getting better physical shape, when you're doing your jiu-jitsu, when you're doing your boxing classes, you're going to be a more confident person. And they're not going to look for you. They're going to look for somebody weaker. But if the situation arises that, you know, maybe somebody's on drugs, maybe somebody's drinking, maybe somebody is going to challenge you, you'll be ready for that because you do it all the time. These people don't. They think that they're tough. They think that you're going to be an easy target. But when you're in a class and you're training a couple days a week, 3 days a week, maybe you're training 5 days a week, you're not going to be, they're going to find out very, very quickly that they just picked the wrong person. If you have to go to a weapon, you know, that worst case scenario, again, you're more trained, more proficient than these people. They picked the wrong person. And so, look, the best way to win a fight is to not get in one and avoid it. And when you're using situational awareness, you see some bad people maybe coming in to the store, into the restaurant. Maybe it's just time to exit. Bad people are getting on the bus, the train. Maybe this is where you get off. You see some bad people walking towards you. You cross the street and you avoid them. That's the best thing to do. But in the case that maybe they come to your house, maybe you can't run, maybe you can't avoid an individual or these people, then you're going to have to resort to your training. And if you have no training, you're in big trouble. That's just the way it is. You're going to be in big trouble. So I think right now is the time to get proficient with your weapon system, proficient with your skill set on the mat, boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, whatever it might be. This is the time to do it. Again, these people on social media who warn us every day that the apocalypse is coming, well, one thing they don't tell you is you're going to be dealing with bad people. And you need to be getting ready to deal with bad people. And you need to be using situational awareness so you can avoid bad people. But if you never have to use these skills, well, great. Fantastic. It made you a better person. It made you a stronger person. It got you in better physical shape. It made you commit to something. It challenged you. And at the end of the day, you can put that into anything, into your job, into your passions of whatever they might be, to be better at something. Take those skill sets and apply them to everyday life. Apply them to your personal life. They're going to make you a better person. So if you never have to use them, they're going to make you a better quality, a better, stronger person, a more committed, more dedicated person. But if you ever need those skills, you have them. And most people today, again, are going to tell you how bad everything is. They're going to tell you how everything's collapsing. But they never tell you what they're going to do if the door got kicked in. They're never going to tell you what they're going to do if they got dragged out of their car. They're not going to tell you what they're going to do if they get confronted by bad people. Because I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to wet their pants, and they're going to panic, and then they're going to be victims. So I hope these people also wake up. I know most of you are awake. Most of you are out there doing something. Nothing's 100%. But we can always be putting the odds in our favor by doing a little something. So don't be just a one-dimensional person like, oh, I'm going to get all my money out of the bank, I'm okay. No. It's good to have all the essentials, to have the gold, the silver, the food, the water. Get the training, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, because we may be dealing with some very, very disturbed people here. And if you're not ready to deal with that, it's going to end very, very bad for you. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless all of you. Please like, subscribe, and make sure you share these videos all over the place. I look forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon. I want to thank all of you for the cards, all of you for the prayers, the support. None of this is possible without you. Have a wonderful evening. God bless.